a duo prepared to light up the path, to bridge every gap. Access meets opportunity, there's no turning back. Forward with fortitude, the future's in sight. Together we rise like stars in the night. Authenticity reigns, love leads the way. We're speaking in harmony every single day. Speak harmony, let your voice intertwine. So let's move forward, ever bold and true. With Sharon and Tamara, the vision breaks through. Speak harmony where hearts align.
Every time I hear it, every time I hear it. Well, welcome. It's Tuesday, Sharon. We're here again. I think I've seen you every day for the last 2 weeks.
For the last 2 weeks, for real, for real. Oh my goodness. You know, welcome, welcome, welcome. I mean, what a refreshing day. It's 72 degrees here in Atlanta. So I welcome
Spring.
Yes, spring is springing. You know what? We just want to say, welcome to Speak Harmony. Everyone, as we close out this Black History Month, let us not forget that every single day, we as a people, we represent and we celebrate Black history. We are Black history. Hello, we are Black history, right? So don't let me start. So that said, we just want to welcome everyone to this show. It's with a twist because we've invited AJ, we've collaborated with the Atlanta Jamaican Association to bring forth a major event that's happening exactly a month from today, March 25th. Let me tell you, man, I'm looking forward to it. And girlfriend, what I'm saying, I'm getting stage fright because when I tell you, Yvette Taylor Reynolds, the president of Atlanta Jamaican Association here in Georgia, well, let me tell you, the association is bringing Stephen Bruce Golden back to Atlanta a month from now to celebrate. And we just want to welcome you to the studio, Yvette. Welcome.
Well, thank you, and thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Welcome to Speak Harmony. We're excited to have you here, be in studio, and be a part of what we are doing. Great things to come. We can't wait. 4 weeks from today, we will be seeing this amazing showcase, and the fact that he's already on the call, and we are celebrating that. So I can understand, Sharon, why you're saying you have stage fright, because we have so many things lined up for today. And so the excitement is brewing, and we're just happy to be here closing out Black History. We had a wonderful occasion to be with AJA again on Saturday at Collision with Purpose, which was an amazing event. So we got to see the AJA president. She was there, and everything else is going great. So as we continue to move the momentum going and the things that are to come, so we're going to take Black History into March. We're now extending Black History as we bring this great and amazing event that's happening to March 25th.
Yes. And so we're going to allow Yvette to introduce our presenter for that March 25th amazing day that we so look forward to. I mean, let me tell you, after last year, I couldn't wait until this year. So I'm counting down the days. All right? For those who don't understand, I'm counting the days on my calendar. So Ms. Yvette, you go ahead and introduce the honorable gentleman that's going to be joining us to educate us again this year.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's my pleasure to introduce the president of the Jamaican chapter of the UNIA, an organization formed by Marcus Garvey over 100 years ago. This year we'll be having a second annual symposium featuring the works and the life of Marcus Garvey, the impact that he had on Atlanta, And of course, you know that before President Biden left office, the day before, actually, he pardoned him. So it's an exciting time. Bruce Golden has been traveling, I just say the earth, portraying the work of Marcus Garvey and the impact that he has on the world. So without any further ado, I would like to welcome Stephen Golden right out of Jamdong, right in Jamaica. Welcome, Stephen.
Nice.
Thank you for the introduction, Yvette, and good evening to your viewers. Shelley, good evening to everyone. Mr. P in the back. Um, I'm happy to be here. Looking forward to next month. Of course, this is the second installation of an annual celebration which commemorates Garvey's first visit to the city of Atlanta, his first public lecture in Atlanta, and indeed his first big public lecture in the United States of America. And it's the second in this global series that we started last January, the first being in Western Jamaica, the second being Atlanta. Since then, we've gone on to New York, we've gone on to Baltimore, we've done the Eastern Caribbean, inaugurating symposiums in Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent, and Trinidad. And we look forward to expanding further this year into Chicago and Philadelphia and Belize in July.
Amazing.
Wow. Man,
To know Marcus
man.
Mosiah Garvey is to be able to travel and for his legacy to live on. And as we go and we share with these different cities and bringing this new generation into understanding who Marcus Mosiah Garvey is, it's exciting for me as a former educator being able to teach and understand and communicate his legacy to the next generation. I commend you for that. I commend you for taking the torch and moving on with that.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
the symposiums are premised on places that he visited and spoke at, and on the dates, the anniversaries of those lectures. So the one in Atlanta, of course, takes place at the oldest African church in the city, Big Bethel AME Church, which has been there since the mid-19th century. Garvey spoke there on March 25th, 1917, and so we returned this year on March 25th. 2025.
Wow. Stephen, I just want to say, just being in that place last year, I mean, that was my first exposure. I mean, I've had Marcus Garvey books. I mean, I've read, and I haven't read it cover to cover, but just recently I started reading, and I've started reading more, and I started talking about what's coming up on March 25th, the second installation. And let me tell you, I spoke to someone and she said to me, "Thank you for inviting me because I can't wait." She was so excited. She said she didn't know it was here. She's lived here. She missed it last year. And she was so upset. She says, "God, had I known." So this year, what she did, she put it on her calendar. She set a reminder and she says, "I am going to be there front and center." And so it's amazing. I mean, this whole thing, this Garveyism, I mean, let me tell you, thank you for educating me because I thought I knew, by reading the book and reading what I read, I thought I knew something. So tell us, just expound on it. How did you get started, I mean, with this movement? I mean, when did that start? When did you realize that this is something that you were destined to do? Because, I mean, honestly, I thought you were Marcus Garvey the fourth. I'm saying it.
That's a very long and personal story, but let's just say that I joined the UNIA first while I was living in New York in 1999. The division in New York at that time was headed by Marcus Garvey Jr. So it's been for me now over 25 years. Of course, I returned home to Jamaica, found the division that was here, registered, started working with them, became a vice president in a few years, and since 2009, I've been the president. I find that Garvey presented the only solid and almost foolproof black print, as I call it, for African descendants, not only in the Americas, but globally. to understand that the only way we could overcome the obstacles that faced us in his time, and some of which still linger in our time, is really through the prescription that he gave us. That was through universal action and cooperation. It was dependent on our unity, it was dependent on our economic cooperation. Garvey thought big. March 25th, since Garvey's day, has also been declared the United Nations International Day of Remembrance for Victims of the Transatlantic Slave Trade. So it wasn't so when Garvey came to Atlanta on March 25th, 1917, but it has since been declared as such. And what's interesting is the United Nations is the offspring of the League of Nations. And Marcus Garvey was the only black man when the League of Nations was formed in 1919 to send delegates to Paris to ask the question, how is this going to be a League of Nations and there's no representation of the African who makes up a significant portion of the nations of the world? Right? Because you have to remember at that time Africa was colonized by Europe, so they really didn't have a political representation on the international stage. And this little 5 feet 4 inch tall man from the Garden Parish in this little island took it upon himself to, create a plebiscite where officials were elected. Himself was elected the provisional president of Africa, and followed through on the job description by petitioning the world powers at the time on issues such as reparations, and recognition, justice, and development. And what's funny now is that all those things Garvey did in the early 1910s, going into the 1920s, have only borne fruit now 100 years later. It was in 2020 that the United Nations finally created a permanent forum for people of African descent. When 100 years before that, Garvey was saying, well, where's the representation of Africans at this globally united body? In 1920, as part of his Declaration of Rights for the Negro peoples of the world, Garvey declared that August 31st should be an international holiday for our race and for Africans globally. Well, that was finally declared by the United Nations in 2021, again, 101 years later. So, our first national hero was a short man, but he was a man way ahead of his time. So much so that we see the proof in that, with the world only catching up to the levels he was on a century later.
And I'm going to brag a little bit, if you would let me. Because when I heard you say that, it gave me such pride knowing that he came from Yard, straight from Jamaica. And Little but with Talawa. Exactly. Because honestly, they always say, and it's not meaning to rain on anybody's parade, but boy, something with Jamaicans, we're bold, we're brave, when we say we're going to do it, we just do it. Because I didn't know that. He was the one, the catalyst for change. Him said, listen, man, take me. And he didn't care what would happen then. Wow, Stephen, where did you, research and build on your, this is only a short window that you had as a president joining this organization, to where you are today. Wow, how does one get to be a part of this organization? How do they even qualify? How do they get to your standard? Because you sound like I said, when I heard you last year, I'm thinking, man, that's Marcus Garvey, the fourth. That's his grandson, his great-great-great-grandson. It's embedded in you. Where did you research? How did you get your information?
I don't know how short the window has been, because I can tell you it's put a lot of gray hairs in my little beard that is not growing any longer. But and in my head top. But listen, I was just fascinated with Garvey's approach to the issues facing our people. He was a forerunner to people like Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. He influenced so many of the independence leaders and freedom fighters on the continent of Africa, even though the British and the French authorities colluded to keep him out of Africa. At the time that he was living and working both in the United States and in Jamaica, There were rumors in different parts of Africa that Garvey was coming to liberate the continent, and these rumors were started by Africans on the continent. You know, the king of Swaziland in the early 1920s said that he didn't even know that there were black people in the Americas except for two, Jack Johnson, the black heavyweight champion of the world, first black heavyweight champion, and Marcus Garvey. And you know, Marcus Garvey wasn't given any position by you know, any alien government. His claim to fame wasn't the university that he got a PhD from. I mean, he became an icon by the sweat and blood, and the creation of his own mind, you know, that launched him onto the world. He was bold enough to say some of the things that others were afraid to say or couldn't say. He was a wealthy man. Don't make a mistake. You know, they tried to get him on income tax evasion in 1922, and his income for 1921 was something like 150,000 US. That's still a decent income, even by today's standards. He was the largest investor in his own enterprises that he created, but he created them in trust to serve the people, you know, and he introduced the idea of collective security. He introduced the idea of crowdfunding that we talk about now today. He was such an innovator. You know, he was built as the greatest orator of the race, and he lived up to that standard. This is a man who could send a telegram to the United States Secretary of State in 1921 when J. Edgar Hoover was fooling around with his visa and didn't want to reissue his visa when he had left the United States for a tour of the Caribbean to sell stocks in the Black Star Line. So he was powerful. You know, remember Garvey petitioned and coerced the US president into getting the first pardon he got in 1927, which was early from prison. And after that, he never stopped seeking his own exoneration. He influenced Black Americans to switch from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party when the Republican Party refused to play ball with his demands. There's so many areas that when you peel back the onion, you find that Garvey had his hand or his influence in. It's February, it's Black History Month. Well, Garvey was a part of the new Negro movement that influenced people like Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who wrote for Marcus Garvey's newspaper and who is the founder and conceptualizer of Negro History Week, which we know today as Black History Month. So Garvey was I don't want to say an international man of intrigue, but he certainly was an international man of influence, an international man of action. And again, as Jamaicans, we can't help but be proud of him. You know, there's something different about our culture. We are heavyweights in the arena of influence and culture in the world, whether it's through our music, whether it's through our leaders, whether it is through the different personalities that are on the stage. I mean, you go to the UK right now and listen to street slang, and it is based on Jamaican patois. Things like that wouldn't have happened if we didn't have people like Miss Lou, you know, and others. So, you know, I've been to countries where there are pockets of Jamaican living in small communities like Shashamane in Ethiopia. And instead of them being assimilated to the culture after 2-3 generations and sounding and looking Ethiopian, they convert the entire environment around them to sounding and trying to look like Jamaican. There were Ethiopian kids running up to me saying, "Wagwan, Rastaman, Wagwan." That is the kind of people we are. And I think Marcus Garvey was one of the first to showcase that to the world on the international stage with his bravado, with his style. He's the only Black man to this day to have claimed leadership of African people, not just in Jamaica, not just in the United States, not even just in the Americas, but African
Around the
people
world.
globally around the
Yes.
world. Nobody did that before him, and nobody has done it since.
So, Stephen,
Impact.
I always learn something new, but I'm really, really excited for what we're about to do on March 25th. So, Auburn Avenue carries a history of the African people in Atlanta, and we're about to install a plaque commemorating Marcus Garvey on Auburn Avenue in Atlanta. That is going to be a forever thing. And I am so excited, so excited to be part of the Auburn Avenue history a Jamaican, and Marcus Garvey, who led the Negro movement. You want to say anything about that?
Yes, and that falls right in line with what I was mentioning earlier in terms of the significance of it being a UN International Day, because we are now beginning the second decade that has been declared by the UN as the second international decade for people of African descent under the themes recognition, justice, and development. And so the historical marker placing that we will be doing at Big Bethel AME Church next month falls right in line with giving recognition where recognition is due, because it's so important. And we see what's going on in the United States now in terms of gentrification in our communities. We see also the issue of sort of removing Black history or the opposition to certain things being taught. So we've lobbied at the UN to have the decade extended. The first one was from 2015 to 2024. A second one has been declared for 2025 to 2034. And so this program falls right in line with that. It takes place on a UN recognized day, and it is giving recognition to the founder of the largest movement of Black people to date. Nobody did it again. Nobody did the numbers like Garvey did before him, and nobody has been able to do it since in terms of one organization with their motto of one God, one aim, one destiny. And what's interesting is the marker that we're putting up has been produced by the Nubian Jack Trust, which is famous for putting up over 100 plaques throughout the United Kingdom to recognize Black historical figures and places associated with them. And London is a different kind of environment in terms of race relations. And so that was a big move for this young man to make. And the young man has a connection to the UNIA, because that first division of the UNIA that Garvey formed in Kingston, Jamaica in 1914, right? The treasurer, first elected treasurer for the division, was a man named Thomas Michael. Well, the man who creates these plaques and puts them up is Thomas Michael's grandson, right? Jack Tudor. And we didn't even know that when we reached out to Jack about this project. We just knew he was famous for doing this in the UK, and he was looking to expand into the United States and into Africa and other places. So the synergy was there. Garvey often said the UNIA was a spiritual movement, and it would never die. And as much as we're not having the numbers that we did in Garvey's time, he was right about one thing: no matter what was done through the counterintelligence program of the Bureau of Investigation, or whether through the British military intelligence, the interference, the harassment, the murders, the assassinations, all of those things that the organization suffered through, divisions are still active on various countries spread out throughout the globe. We have a division in Kenya, in South Africa. We have divisions in Barbados, in Costa Rica, several chapters in the United States, including in the city of Atlanta. And they will be out on March 25th in support to take part in the second annual symposium. So a very significant day, and therefore we're marking it with a very significant event. A marker for the city of Atlanta to never forget the role that they played in the development of the iconic life of our first national hero.
Well,
That's a taste,
I know.
right?
Just a taste. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm glad to see what is happening from Garvey's, and when people are now moving to group economics and showing that the Black dollar is very important and moving that forward. As we see coming up on 2/28, we're seeing how the Blacks are coming out and we're bonding together to make a true impact on the economy. We see what we can do by boycotting. But when we talk about Garveyism and what he has taught us, he has taught us to come together. When we come together, we can create change. And so it's very important for us to understand exactly what you just said and learn more about it on March 25th as we learn to come together as a nation, as a community, and band and make sure that our money goes where it needs to be and
Yeah.
supported.
I don't know if you know that you were quoting Garvey there. But you know, they teach that to children in the ABCs. That one is J for justice, where Garvey says, if we must have justice, we must be strong. If we are to be strong, we must come together. And you repeated that 3 times a while ago. That's what it is. We must come together. And if we must come together, Garvey said, we can only do so through the system of organization. And that's one of his famous speeches.
I listened to it. I went to FIU in the 90s, and that's when I learned about him and how his impact, even though through Jamaica we learned that in history. But when I came to the US, he was a part of American
On my
history,
Instagram.
and that's where I learned that.
You're not on
Wow.
Instagram.
And it's so funny. I was just in Florida, and Garvey's story in Florida is an interesting one. And I say that because I caught a glimpse of our Consul General, who I know is
Oh,
in
yeah.
Florida.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, the Garvey's history and the UNIA in Florida is the stuff that movies are made of. But I will save that for next year, if the CG invites.
Look, one day is not enough, you know. I mean, because really we're running into our next, you know, we're about to bring on our next guest. But before we do that, we just want to hail up our Honorable Consul General right there, Oliver Mair, back in Miami.
Mair.
How are you, sir?
Hi, greetings,
I know you're
everybody.
the busiest man. Can you hear us?
Yes,
Seems
I can.
smiling.
Can you hear me?
He has no audio.
Is it-
I hear you.
Are you hearing
No
me?
CG. Yes, CG.
Hold
You
on.
hear us?
You can hear me, right?
He can hear us, but he's on mute.
Yes.
No, am I on
oh, we're
mute?
bringing you on.
No, we can hear him. I don't think he can hear us.
Oh, no, I'm hearing you. I'm hearing you very well. I wasn't sure if you were hearing me.
Oh, no.
Well, I can
we,
hear
All right.
you.
we can hear you now.
Okay,
So-
great. Well,
Go-
you know, just happy to be on the program. Happy to see that it has continued from the introduction last year. I was there at the first major Garvey event, and back in Florida now we had our fourth staging of celebrating Garvey and reggae, and I think it's so important that we continue the work of Garvey here in the United States. Many times when we have Black History Month, Garvey is overlooked. And so, I thought it was very important, certainly from our end at the consulate, to ensure that people are aware of the work of our first national hero, Right Excellent Marcus Garvey. And I'm sure you all mentioned and celebrated already that he received a pardon, even though we all want an exoneration, right?
Correct.
But we give thanks. It's still something that we can celebrate. And I think more importantly, more persons that are aware of Garvey and the significance of his work, especially our young people. So I'm encouraging everybody who listening this evening to bring out your kids, bring out your young people, people from schools. Let them come out and hear about Garvey. We know about Malcolm X, we know about Martin Luther King, and we hail their work, amazing work. But they were all Garveyites, And I think we certainly need to celebrate Garvey's philosophy. It is still very much relevant and very important, even to things like economic development and changing the way we do business and execute business. I was just talking to a professor today, and we were talking about families and business in the diaspora. And he started to go through a whole study that he was doing, and he's going to be one of our speakers at one of our lectures. And I said, man, this is exactly in line with some of what Garvey spoke. And he said, of course. So there's so much to Garvey that needs to message that needs to get out in terms of his philosophy. And Stephen is, without question, one of the most dynamic, informed that I've heard. Three years in a row, we've brought him back. And every year I say, him can't hold the last year. And I sit down and listen. We put him at the end of the show when we think everybody is tired, and he has held the audience together. We had 350 people at our event last week. and they stayed from start to finish. It was an excellent event, and everybody left, and they called me and said it was a great event. They learned so much, and people were recording, they were sharing information, and I know, and the last thing I say, we had the honor of having Dr. Garvey with us for another event that we did early in January, the day before he got the pardon. And somehow I just thought it was a blessing that he should have been here with us the Saturday before he got the official call from the White House on Sunday. And he told the audience, he said, listen, I got a call from the White House and they indicated that they would be calling me tomorrow. And he said, he can't imagine that they're calling him with bad news. So, right, so the whole audience, it's like we were just said, we just put out positive energy and say, yes, we're declaring that this thing is going to happen. But the reality is that a lot of work has been done over the years. People like Steve and a lot of leaders in the community, our community has had a lot of petitions. And so we celebrate what has taken place, but exoneration is the only true result that we can be truly, celebratory, because he really needs that sort of justice. But listen, enough from me. Encourage everybody to come out, please. The one regret we had is that we didn't have every seat taken at the event, because this is priceless information, and we don't want anybody to miss anything. And these things don't happen by chance. This is not happening anywhere else. There are few places in the diaspora this is happening. And so we have to treat it as an opportunity for us. And let us embrace it and get out everybody possible to be a part of it. I will be there on the 25th and looking forward again to all the proceedings. Watch a movie again, hear Stephen again, present the plaque, all the works, and the history of the moment. We are creating history here, and we are also helping to ensure that the legacy of one of the greatest human beings to walk the earth is properly framed in history and will continue to impact mankind in the way that it should. Thank you.
And you know what? We thank you. We're going to definitely join forces and continue to do that, because I was there last year, and like I said, I left there on a high. I mean, like I was floating home because I was so filled, Stephen. I mean, it was so impactful to me. And if you can see in the background, I think we're kind of showing you the audience. I don't know if you can see it, but just the short notice that we gave the community, because we wanted them to come out. And they have questions in the audience for you, Stephen. So if you don't mind, if you can hang out with us just a few more minutes, because we've got some other folks lined up that are going to be coming on our show, but we want to talk to folks in the audience that might have questions for you, and I'm sure they do. So is there anyone with a question for Stephen?
I almost forgot you had an audience there. I thought I had you 3 women to myself until Oliver butted in.
We have some onlookers of great support, and I see.
Wow, I see. Yeah, we see a whole bunch of people from our community. We have our African American, the whole AJA team is here, most of them. But we've got our commissioner of Newton County, one of our counties here in Georgia. He's here. He joined us. He has joined our Caribbean community. Damon Wilson. We've got Superpeg, who's a Guy Jakian. I always like to mess with him because, Stephen, you know his father. Omar, was it Omar? What's your father's name? He's a Guyanese artist there in Jamaica, that's based in Jamaica. So
Keith Agard. Keith.
Yes.
So his son we work together here at APAP, but questions, anyone? Questions for Stephen, because we want to capture him. He's a busy man and we don't want to lose the momentum.
Andy Morgan, I see Andy Morgan from BASE as well, from Black Art, Culture and Education is there. And Dr. McCoy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Man, we have Dr. McCook, Gary McCook, we've got Dr. Loxley, we've got a house full. We've got you're right. I just saw Andy Morgan. One of our features here. We see Mikey Sparkle out there. I mean, we've got a plethora of people here.
Well, it certainly looks like a room full of affluent people. So I
Love it.
just want to encourage them to take a look at the poster on the wall there and encourage them to take out a sponsorship package for this second annual symposium. We did it last year. We're committed to doing it every year, but we can't do it without the support of the local community there. And when we say sponsorship, we mean buy some group tickets in advance, buy for your colleagues at work, buy for your church brothers and sisters, buy for your staff, and treat them to an evening of knowledge, you know what I mean? Psychological food, and
Yes,
good
yes, yes.
Jamaican food, because you better not go and leave those things out.
And that's
An
for sure.
experience, a lifetime
So,
experience.
so someone in the audience has a question for you. Go ahead, please.
It's not so much as a question, is that,
Oh, that's Andy Morgan.
yeah, this
Go
is
ahead.
Andy Morgan. We're with the AJ Cultural and Education Fund, which is an arm of the AJA. And so we have made a donation, or we're going to be making a donation. We'll be writing out a check for $500 to support this event. So we just want to make that announcement since you were talking about sponsorship. This is an extremely important event. And
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.
supporting the cultural activities and representing all that Marcus Garvey stood for is extremely important. And so we're really looking forward to attending the event on the 25th. In addition, we're going to be making an additional donation of $500 from another nonprofit that I'm associated with, which is the Black Art, Culture, and Education organization. And so today, we are committing $1,000 between our two organizations to support this event. So, I want to put that on.
Salute you. And I know Yvette will make sure that you get your 50 tickets, which corresponds to that level of sponsorship. It's a big church, people. I think it can hold maybe 700 people. So we really want to bring out the community, the Caribbean community, the Jamaican community, the African American community, the whole Atlanta community, because all are welcome. And as the CG said, we encourage you to bring your family. It's very kid friendly. It's a learning environment, but it's not just education, it's also edutainment, because there are going to be a few performances, and I have a special surprise that's going to happen that night. I can't say too much, but it's really going to be a surprise and something to talk about for a whole year after till we come back.
Nice, nice, nice. And I see, let's just another recognition here. We are recognizing people coming in. So we've got the Black Chamber of Commerce president, the Ghanaian crew with Bernice Smith. So she's Ghanaian, but she's married to one of our men, or yachties. And we've got Coffee from Coffee Radio. Big up Coffee. We see quite a few people. There's somebody else with a question for you, Stephen. Boy, you're taking over this whole show. Go ahead, sir.
Speak harmony. Bring it harmony.
Bring it. So we've got Dr. Loxley here. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir. Oh, I just saw Julian walk in. I mean, the great Julian, the musician. Hey, how are you? Man, this place is flooded with just great people. Go ahead, Dr.
Yeah,
Lax.
so I'm Dr. LAX Stephenson, president of Global Humanity Network, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We're committing to donate $500 for this event. And on behalf of my other organization, A Collision with Purpose, we'll do $300.
Man, it's amazing, amazing, amazing. Wonderful stuff. They just had a
Thank you,
major
sir.
stuff, too.
Thank you, sir. We salute you. And again, roll out your members. I think that's about 50 tickets or so. So we'll have 50 reserved seats or so for you. And we really want to show love to our sponsors. So we're reserving the front rows for all our sponsors.
Amazing, yes. Dr. Lax just had a major, his second, honoring colloquium in this community. So this is the second year running where he honor people. And Tammy Gammon, our artist there and curator on screen with us, she was one of the honorees, but there were quite a few. And these are people that are making big strides as far as our people are concerned here, both here and abroad. I mean, all the way to Kenya. I mean, this is what this colloquium with Dr. LAX and Dr. McCook, this is what they do, Dr. Donna Thompson. So we've got Bernice, oh, here we go. We've got our friend, our community, another leader here. Go ahead, Bernice.
Yes, my name is Bernice Lamte Smith. I'm the president of the Ghanaian Women's Association of Georgia, also the executive of the Ghana Council of Georgia as well. I do represent the Black Atlanta Chamber Global Opportunity Committee. We're here to dedicate $500 to your organization today.
Wow.
So this week for us, as a Black Chamber Global Opportunities, we have a couple of delegates that came from other countries that's visiting us in Atlanta to do business partnership and collaboration. So I have two ladies from South Africa actually here where the chambers are looking for them to look opportunities here to bring the business to Atlanta. So I'll let them introduce themselves if it's okay.
Go right ahead.
All right.
Go right ahead. We're here, we're a family. That's what we do.
Yes.
This is go ahead.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. My name is Ensi Samgeli Siweditwani. I am the president of Flourisher Kagaza Foundation, which seeks to end period poverty and upskill youth and entrepreneurs. I'm going to give it to Yvette.
My name is Yvette Ngoshirwa. We are from South Africa. I'm the founder and director of Frida Couture. At Frida Couture, we are specialized in modern, vintage, and African-inspired apparel for the women who want to stand out and express their individuality. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so
lastly,
much.
what I'd like to say is that from the Black Chambers and the Global Community Opportunities, if you're interested to take your business global and trade, we're here to connect you with the continent, South America, and Europe, and that's what we do.
Awesome. That's what I'm talking about. You see?
Collaboration.
Love it. Collaboration, man.
Yvette,
Yes.
Yvette, if I may, somebody mentioned Ghana earlier. Oh, the Talawa Mentor Band has been invited to Ghana, so they're actually going to Ghana in July. So this is a cultural group based in Florida, and we'll be heading up there to do folk songs and stuff.
Wow,
I listen.
awesome.
Once I hear they were going to Ghana, I said, boy, I have to go learn to sing. So I'm joining the group, heading out here to learn the routine. But we're heading to
They're
Ghana.
actually going to Panafest, which is the biannual big celebration in Ghana. The Ghanaians, they would know that name.
That's correct.
And they actually reached out to us to get the sheet music for a song called Keep Cool that Marcus Garvey wrote while he was in Atlanta. That time he was in the federal penitentiary. So they're going to be doing a folk rendition of that song at Panafest in Ghana when they go over in the summer. So I tell you, that so the spirits line up.
Let me tell you, this is
how it
Black
works.
History, brethren.
Many people didn't even know Marcus Garvey wrote lyrics for songs, and that Keep Cool that he did in 1929 was at the top of the Harlem charts in the summer. This is how, say you can't be a Jamaican, write a one tune.
So you say you're bringing yours on the 25th. We'll look at, Oliver, guess what? CG, you heard it. We all heard it here at APAT Media. So, Mr. P, make sure that is recorded and highlighted.
Yes, yes.
I forgot bust a tune with you, CG.
I'm going to leave in a couple of minutes, but I just wanted to congratulate AJA for stepping out in faith last year. I remember the discussions and it was a little nervous at the start and stuff, but you guys stepped out in faith, you did it. Now this is evolving into an annual event. I just want to say congrats AJA for stepping up again, as you always do, the premier group in Atlanta, and for all the persons there as you gathered, supporting, all the persons who have made donations. Thank you. We appreciate each one. and to the stalwarts in the community who always come out and support. We say thank you because we can't do this without you, your ongoing support. And again, I'm so excited. I'm so excited with what's happening. Looking forward to seeing everybody May 25th. This is the longest I've been away from Atlanta. Nobody know miss me, but it's all right.
No, we see you
Everybody
busy
know
in
miss me.
Florida, you know. We miss you, but you're busy in Florida, so it's all good. We can't wait to see you.
Yeah.
So we've got some more,
But-
you know. Go ahead, CG.
Yeah, but just I'm going to run, but just again, thank you to everybody. See you on May 25th, and this
No,
gentleman.
March
here, I sent
25th.
for-
Get it? Don't look.
Sorry, March 25th. March 25th. Sorry. This gentleman here, I do believe, Jamaica continues to produce legends. We have had Bolt, we've had Marley, we have Garvey, Shelley and Fraser Price. I do believe here in Stephen, not solely in my head, but I've seen him in action. I do believe we have a freedom fighter leader of the highest level here with us in Stephen Golden.
We do.
And I encourage us to continue to encourage him to do the work that he's doing because it is critical for mankind. So with that, one love to everybody.
Yes, one love,
One love.
CG. And CG. On that note, you're right, 100%. Because I follow him and Empress, his wife, and his children. And let me tell you, if I can make him head swell just one little bit more, guess what? What a fantastic job they're doing with raising those two, the prince and princess. I mean, because they're not only ballers, soccer players, as we would say ballers in Jamaica. But, I mean, they're talented overall. I mean, when you hear their diction, when you hear their delivery, you're saying, wow, Empress, you're doing a great job. Stephen, man, kudos.
Surrounded. Yeah.
Kudos. We salute you. Amazing.
I so appreciate it.
Oh, he went to a good school.
And I'm going to let them know, them head quick for swell.
So thank you guys for coming on. I mean, we appreciate you, Stephen. We look forward to seeing you and CG on the 25th. We can't wait.
Before I go
Definitely.
to, let me also recognize, because I heard you say Brother Julian Smith had entered the room.
He did. He entered the room.
This
Julian,
whole thing started with a conversation between Julian and I when he was
put the
in
spotlight.
Jamaica, year
There
before
he is.
last.
There he is.
He was the person who connected us to Big Bethel AME Church. I knew the history, but he was the man on the ground who could connect us with the people to make this happen. And of course, I have to big up the Consul General because, I expressed to him what we wanted to do. Immediately, he connected us with Yvette and the AJA. And as he said, the rest was history. We got it done last year, and I see it growing from strength to strength. So salute to you all.
Thank you.
To you as well.
Amazing.
Thank you so
Work
much.
that is impacting community, national development, and the consciousness of our people. And we're doing it from right here in the diaspora. And we're helping to set the stage for second, third, and fourth generation just by the work we're doing here. So thank you to everybody.
You know what? So before you go, I mean, we still have another question. I mean, man, look, Stephen, you may have to move to Atlanta.
It's actually not a question. It's another donation that came in. I just wanted to let you all know that Jamila Hall, the daughter of Dr. Hall,
Dr. Hall.
contributed $500 as well. So
Wow.
I think that puts us almost at $3,000 for the night, which is not pretty. It's pretty good.
That is pretty
So-
darn good. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Andy, for announcing that. Thank you, Jamila. We appreciate you in your absence. I know that will be conveyed to her mom. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you, Stephen.
And please don't be absentee sponsors. I mean, we love the support. That's what we need. But I'm a people person, and I would love to see you all in person on the 25th so that I can thank you personally, each and every one of you who have contributed.
Amazing. You all heard that. So thank you. We appreciate that. We appreciate having you, Stephen. We look forward to seeing you in a month.
Anytime.
Blessings.
Don't invite Oliver in on the thing, just me and the ladies.
You see, you have to take over a place already, Stephen.
We'll dethrone the CG. I'm dethrone the CG.
Yeah, man. That was
Well-
too easy, Stephen.
We appreciate you. We appreciate
One
you,
love.
gentlemen. One love. Blessings. Thank you. Salute. So we have in our audience, we have the Commissioner of Newton County, our next guest. He's going to be running through here in a minute, Mr. Dion Wilson. So he's African-American from Tulsa, Oklahoma, but believe it or not, he's sort of in our community, meaning our Caribbean community. He's finding his way. He's really coming through, and he's building a reputation for himself. I mean, when I tell you Dion, he is the county commissioner of Covington, Georgia, in Covington, Georgia. I mean, he sits on the Newton County Board of Commissioners. I mean, this gentleman from Tulsa, Oklahoma, he's right here. He's a father. He's a great community leader. I mean, he's an amazing husband. But when I tell you he's in the community, and I'll tell you what, shameless plug, there's a Jamaican business that opened up a few months ago. Short notice. Let me tell you how amazing this gentleman is. Short notice. I reached out to him and I says, my friend, we need someone to be there for this ribbon cutting ceremony tomorrow. This was Friday morning. I text him. He reached back out to me and he says, I'm in meetings until such and such a time. Just work with me. And I says, absolutely, we're working with your schedule. He cleared his schedule. He had his sons with him. They showed up. And this is what fathers do, solid father. And this is the kind of community we're building. So Dion, we welcome you because what you're doing, he showed up at our community event, cut that ribbon, took his children, hung out with us, and he was gone back to his, his daily activities, his weekend activities. So on short notice, not even 24 hours, he showed up and showed out for us. And he's here. So he's African American, but I tell people we're all one. And that's what we're striving to do. We're building that bridge because we're the same people, just dropped off at different ports at different time. So welcome to APAT Media and welcome to Speak Harmony. Tammy, I'm just so honored. Are you there?
I'm here. I'm so excited because we've been waiting to have him on for the last 2 months. And he was one of our first guests that we had expected to have. I hear that he likes to sing as well, and some acting is in there, so I'm waiting on that part of the story to come into it as well. But we're excited. Thank you so much for being a part of the community, for the work that you continue to do in your community. In reading your bio and seeing all these different snippets about you, I know that family is just extends more than your immediate family, that you truly treat your county as your family, and you stand up for your constituents who are there with you. So welcome.
Thank you both for welcoming me today. It is an honor and it is a privilege to sit here in this space, not only to be with both of you ladies. Thank you for the work that you're doing. It is very, very important that we utilize this type of space, communication, media, to be able to get those important things out about our communities, what they're doing, so that people can truly know how we're making positive impact all across the world. And so thank you both for inviting me. It's just even an honor and a privilege to serve as a county commissioner in Newton County, Georgia. And Sharon said my last name was Wilson, but it's actually Mason.
Mason. Did I say Wilson? I don't even know how I renamed you.
But the beautiful thing about that, Sharon, is I was actually named after Dion Wilson.
That's where I
from
got
Sanford and Son.
That's where I got it. So I kept saying it. I'm
That's
like,
right. So,
but you know what it is? You're an actor too, so I'm like,
that's correct.
where did I get
So
Wilson
I
from?
act as well.
That's so funny.
So I was named after Lamont from the Sanford and Son. His real name is Dion Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is relative
Wow.
to who I am and how I even got my name.
Wow.
And so, but just to sit in a seat and sit in a position where I can help make decisions to enhance the quality of lives of so many people in one community. In the state of Georgia, we have 159 counties. And so I'm just fortunate to be able to serve in one of those 159 counties
and to be able to make decisions that can positively impact people's lives, to make it a great place for them to live, to work, to play, to go to school. And so it's just an honor and a privilege to be able to serve and to be here with you ladies today.
And you know, Devon, if I'm not mistaken, it's the only county in Georgia that has people that look like us. So they're really not like us, but that's us. Am I correct?
Well, you mean as far as on the board?
On the serving in that county. I mean, it's, you know, representation-wise, political representation.
Well, there are others in other counties as well, out of the 159. Is that what you're asking?
Well, what I'm saying, there's a full, because if my research serves right,
Okay.
everyone in Newton County, in the county of Newton County, you represent us. I mean, we're well represented.
Yes, I would say the majority.
Okay, that's what I thought, or the majority at least.
Yes.
So we've got and that's all the way out in the sticks, guys. It's
That's right.
way out there.
That's right.
Newton County is all the ways out yonder. It's fur.
Right.
You know, but
I like to say it's not too far. We are still a part of Atlanta
growing.
metro area.
Really?
Yes, we're only about 40 minutes from the capital. So we're still considered a part of Atlanta metro area. But what I love about our community is that it is very, very diverse. And so we have a lot of diversity. Our leadership representation is it shows in our leadership what our community looks like.
Correct.
And so our leadership really is a reflection of what our community looks like.
It's amazing because I know you have a newly elected tax commissioner from Trinidad, right?
That is
Brent
correct.
Bennett.
Yes, who just came in January of 2025 this year.
Newly installed.
Yes, newly installed, doing an amazing job thus far. As a matter of fact, I'm going to be meeting with him very shortly. He wants to give me a tour of the office and kind of update me on some of the things that he's doing from the tax commissioner's perspective on once the tax assessor's office assesses those property taxes all across the county, it is the responsibility of the tax commissioner to go out and collect those property taxes. And then once the tax commissioner collects them, then those monies are turned over to my board, my colleagues and I, and we decide where those monies are going to go to really help build, establish, let it run, and where those monies are going to go to really operate our community.
Okay, so you just answered the question that I was about to ask you because your position is so vast. And so I wanted to find out, for that person out there who's listening, what really is the role of the commissioner of the county? What's your job? What does it entail from start to finish?
We have two main roles as county commissioners. Our main role is to adopt a budget. So it is our responsibility as those funds come in from the tax commissioner's office. They'll say, okay, Board of Commissioners, this is how much revenue has been generated from property taxes, from fees. Now you all will have to decide what department those monies will go to, how much they will go to, where they're going to go, so that our county can operate. So that's our main function, is to adopt a budget. Our second function is to look at, to approve or to deny any zoning that takes place throughout the county. So when you see subdivisions being built, when you see commercial businesses or retail businesses or industrial businesses being established, that comes from the Board of Commissioners. We actually decide where those residential subdivisions, where those businesses, commercial, retail, industrial, where they're going to be built throughout the county.
You guys get to decide on that.
That is correct. We decide.
Are you joking?
Yes.
So
we decide exactly where things are going to be built.
Tammy, you heard it here on Speak Harmony at APAT Media. Are you
I've seen
kidding
growth,
me?
economic growth that they've had in Newton County. Newton
They
County
have.
has been doing well, especially with affordable housing and creating
Yes.
opportunities for people to come. And so I have a few friends who live in Newton County, and that's one of the things that they're grateful for. And they have new housing that's being built, but also creating opportunities for people to live, work, and play in Newton County so they don't have
That's
to
right.
drive that 40 miles to go out there. But
That's right.
also talking about the aging population that you have been focused on as well, creating a space for them to still stay in Newton County. So that's commendable as well with this economic growth that we have seen and the stability, not just the growth, but the stability of Newton County. So I commend you for that and the work that you and the others are doing within Newton County to put your face on the map, if you will.
Thank you.
So it's kudos for that. How do you think that you are able to maintain this level of, and I use the word success without a better word right now, the level of success that you've had from maintaining affordable housing and a great school system there in Newton County?
Now, we do have a board of education, and they kind of govern our school systems. What I would like to see more, and what I've recently really been encouraging a lot of, is that our Board of Education and our Board of Commissioners, we work together collectively, because a lot of the decisions that we make are going to impact those that are a part of our school system. A lot of the decisions that they make are going to impact those that live throughout the community. And so what our goal is to make sure that we're looking at the needs of the community. And those needs, they change often. I know at one point, recreation was a huge need. It was a desire of a lot of the residents. And so we started building parks, engaging in recreational programs for the community. And so that was one area that we focused on. We now have a lot of residents that are saying, well, we would like to see our property taxes decrease. And so we want to make that happen. And so the way to make that happen is to engage in economic development. So looking at, what industrial businesses do you bring in? What commercial and retail businesses do you bring in? That's a great fit for our community, where you can allow them to take on more of the tax base, where we can find ways to provide relief. Now, one of the things I can say as a success for our board, I ran in 2018, started 2019, January 2019. We have what we call a millage rate that kind of determines how much revenue we're going to generate from the taxes that are coming in. Well, we've been successful over the years, starting in 2020. Every single year, we've been able to reduce or lower that millage rate, which would in turn, it provides relief to some of the residents. Now, of course, some residents will say, well, my property taxes really didn't go down. Well, that really all depends on the home value of your home. So that home value of your home kind of determines what amount of taxes you're actually going to pay. But what I can safely say is that the Board of Commissioners, we've done our due diligence and we've done our responsibility by doing our best to keep that millage rate as low as possible. When I came in, it was at 13.4%. Now it's at 8.2%.
Wow.
And so hopefully
Congrats.
we can keep going in that direction. Now, of course, there are some House bills that are currently out there that our state legislators have passed and put into place that is centered around property taxes. And so we will see how that could possibly affect how we lower or keep at the same or possibly have to increase that millage rate based off of this particular legislation that is put into law for the state of Georgia.
Wow, and we appreciate what you do because, not only are you a hands-on commissioner, because I know you're a community, real grassroots community leader.
Yes.
I know that for a fact. I mean, Tammy, this man shows up at people's houses. Tell him how involved you are in the community, because you know what? We live in Gwinnett County. I've seen her in pictures, but I've never seen her in person, per se. I mean, my county commissioner. So, I mean, the fact that you're so hands-on, it speaks volume, my brother. It really does. I mean, tell us some of the activities, though, that you do in the community. Share it with the public, because I'm sure they want to know. And I implore you, my commissioner, if you're listening, I want to meet you. I want to see you, because I want you to model Newton County.
Different reasons, but yes.
Yes.
Well, absolutely. Well, one of the things that I noticed when I ran back in 2018, I would hear people say, well, if you are elected, are you going to be one of those leaders or elected officials that we only see around election season? And so as they asked that question, I was like, well, is that really occurring? That's really happening? And so I made a decision that was not the type of elected official I wanted to be. And so with that decision, I made sure that any events that take place in my district, in other districts, in our county as a whole, I try to do my best to be there. I try to be at ribbon cuttings. You
Absolutely.
mentioned the ribbon cutting of the Jamaican
Market,
grocery store, the grocery market in Covington. I try to make sure that my face is at all of those different groundbreakings, ribbon cuttings, different events, anything that I'm invited to. I try to make sure that I'm there. I have people that ask me all the time, Commissioner Mason, how in the world are you at everything? And I'm like, well, I'm not at everything. I'm at a lot of things.
A lot of things.
Not everything, but I want to make sure that I'm visible. And so one of the things that I ran on back in 2022 when I ran for re-election is that I wanted to be a leader of Newton County and the district that I serve is District 2. I want to lead Newton County and District 2 with integrity, with professionalism, and with visibility. And so those are three things that I pride myself on as a servant leader in the community to make sure that I'm visible. As a matter of fact, I'm getting ready to start my annual movie in the park. I have one of the two largest parks in Newton County, and every single year, May, June, and July, it's all about celebrating culture, and I'm all about that. And so in May, a couple years ago, I started putting themes to these movies in the park, and we'll get on the green lawn. Everybody brings their chairs, they bring their snacks, and we put up the big movie screen, and we watch family movies. Primarily Disney. We'll watch those because we want them to be good for the kids because we have a lot of kids there. And I even invite out food trucks and, those that are vendors that really want to get their products out there. And so that was a way of me collaborating the community with our vendors, giving them an opportunity to share their products with the community while also being visible in the community. So in May, we centered that movie in the park around Cinco de Mayo, because it's in May.
Of course.
In June, we centered that movie in the park around Juneteenth.
Love it.
Which is, very cultural, and, we try to decorate the pavilion in Cinco de Mayo colors in May and Juneteenth colors and all the decor in June. And then in July, we do a big back to school. So we do backpacks and we give things away to the kids, and we just have an amazing time. So that's one of the annual things that I actually do every single year to make sure that people see me in the community. And, of course, any other events that I'm invited to, I'm always there.
And I just wanted to ask you one last question, though. Commissioner Mason, I know you're very reachable. You're hands-on. You're that person in the community. How can your constituents, how can your people, for those that don't know you, and I don't know where they would be hiding, not to know you, because I'm here in Gwinnett County, Tammy, and let me tell you,
Yes.
I've reached out to him and got him all the way to, matter of fact, I got him to DeKalb County because
right.
we had an event here, and he was the keynote speaker,
right.
and it was just,
You
it was a
told me.
short window. I mean, this is the kind of commissioner he is. I'm not trying to put anybody on blast. I'm just trying to say, commissioners, if you're all listening out there, he's the role model for a commissioner. I'm just saying, not making you blush or anything, not to make you blush, but you're amazing. I mean, I really look up to you. I see the model that you've set, and you've set the bar so high, super high for commissioners. You've done such a fantastic job. So you may not know that people are watching and people are seeing you, but you're quite visible, because I've spoken to folks like you, Tammy, that I have out there in Newton County,
His service.
and they know
he
who
said
you
something.
are.
He's
Yes.
a servant, and I think
right.
his faith, and I'm not putting anything on there, but his faith plays a
That's
big
right.
part in it when he's
does.
serving not only his community. So that kind of goals and those empathetic things that you learn doing because of your faith and who you are as a minister, and bringing all of that to the community, it brings us all together and brings us onto the fold. And I
That's
think
right.
your community appreciates it. We who do not live in your community, we appreciate it, because I've heard the stories from Sharon. And I said I've read the stories, so I know your background in that sense. But again, like Sharon says, we commend you, and the bar is being set for you to include your community and be consistent. I think that's been the key word for you, has been the consistency in raising the bar and serving them wholeheartedly, and creating opportunities for business owners. Like a business owner, for me, it's very important that as a small business, I can go into a community like yours, if I live in there, and feel as if I'm being seen and being heard.
Right.
So, as a small business owner, I appreciate you. In the crowd, Andy Morgan, I'm going to put him on the spot right there, but he's a part of the Black Arts, Culture, and Education. And I would implore you to have a conversation with him about bringing some different cultural events that we do. I'm a board member with him as well, and he's there. So I'm putting him on blast. And of course, Dr. LAX Stephenson is there, a collision on purpose, talking about working with young men and getting young men into different spaces. So we have community resources that we would love to share with you as well. And we want it to be a symbiotic relationship, that it doesn't end here during this conversation that we have, that whatever resources that we have that we can direct your way, then we can do so to help you build the community that you want to have.
Great. Well, and that's amazing, and I would love to meet those individuals, whoever they are. So please make sure that you connect me with them. I
definitely will.
But what I have done, in addition to be a county commissioner, I'm also an ordained pastor. I attend Now Faith Apostolic Ministries in Rex, Georgia, where I serve as the pastor of congregational care and intergovernmental affairs. In addition to that, I do my best to work with our state legislators to make sure that we're getting legislation down that's going to positively impact us. I'll actually be flying out to D.C. on Friday. I'll be out there until next Wednesday for our National Legislative Conference, where I serve as a vice chair of the Community Economic and Workforce Development Steering Committee. I'll be out there working with talking to our U.S. senators in the state of Georgia, our congressmen, to let them know what we need here. So building those relationships. I'm also part of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which is a Divine Nine Greek organization, as well as a part of 100 Black Men. We just chartered a chapter in the Newton and Rockdale counties.
Wow.
So I'm a charter member of 100 Black Men. And so just connecting with those organizations, also a part of Newton Mentoring, Inc. I sit on the board there. I'm also a mentor. I have mentees that I mentor as well. So doing all of those things, working in all those organizations, is really what helps me become visible and connect with the community to find out what they need to ensure that I'm making the right decisions to enhance their quality of life.
Wow. And one of the final closeout points, and I will do the intros when we get done, but I just want to say, I commend you for that, because our young Black men, we've got 5 minutes to go, and this is not enough time, I'll be honest, because guess what? Our young Black children that look like us, they, especially our young men, because there's so many females out there single women raising children.
Boys, that's right.
And so young men need to see people like you. They need people like you and what you're doing and what you have done. for the Brent Bennett's, out there. It's amazing because Brent himself, if I may give him a plug, he's from Trinidad. He's a soccer player. He's a real football player, as we say in the islands. Football.
Right.
And let me tell you, I've recommended a young man from Jamaica who played in our big leagues, school leagues there. And Brent and his wife took them under their wings, and they've been mentoring. Oh, they are. They are. So you've got a great community out there. My husband is here, so he's probably hearing that we may want to move out to Newton County.
We'll take you. We'll take you.
I know you would.
Love on you and make you a part of our community. We will put you to work. So get
That's
ready.
fine. No shame there. I'm used to that. But how can anyone, with all these organizations that you have, how can they reach out to you, in your office and plug in? There are people that live in that area in Newton County or in and around that county, because I know you're not partial to people outside, because you've embraced me, you've taken me, and you've adopted me, and I'm in Gwinnett County, two counties over.
That's right. Well, there's several different ways you can reach out to me. Of course, you can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm under T. Demond Mason Sr. on Facebook. I'm also on Instagram, The Demond Mason. That's THE Demond Mason on Instagram. You can also contact me via my personal email, which is tdmason8920@gmail.com. If you need to contact me about about the county information, and it's a county-related matter, you can contact me at dmason@co.newton.ga.us. So you can reach me at all of those areas.
Okay. Do we have a question in the audience? Yes. Okay, so we thank you. We just want to say, with all that, we just want to say thank you again for your time. We really appreciate you, and we look forward to collaborating with you, Tammy. Tammy's an artist and a curator, and yes, so Andy Morgan and Tammy, they do business together. Okay. So this is why she's pushing. She's like, she's in her studio, but she's telling, listen, get them two connected. So before you leave, Andy Morgan, we're going to get you connected.
Okay.
So
great.
we've got
Sounds
work
like
to
a
do.
plan.
We've got work to do.
Thank you for having me.
Artwork there in Newton County.
That's right.
Great artwork for you. We do it for Gwinnett County in their parks and rec. So I will happily, from my gallery, K. Alexander Galleries, we will try and come and do something for Women's History going into Juneteenth, just to create some original artwork instead of people having to go into the city. So we'll definitely connect and we'll get some things done from the K. Alexander standpoint. But basis there, we have some other things that we will all connect together.
Excellent.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
You're welcome.
Blessings, my brother, always.
Sharon, what a show.